viral particles from the H5N1 virus have been found in 1 out of 5 samples taken off store shelves where the consumers buy milk in the United States. That is shocking, my friends. We're talking viral particles of the H5N1 virus. Is milk safe? Are your dairy products safe? Are your eggs safe? Well, we're going to go all into that. We're going to talk here about what temperatures it takes to actually kill this virus as far as we know. We're going to talk about the uncertainties involved in the pasteurization process, which the FDA is not entirely sure about just yet. And we're going to talk about other factors pertaining to this virus, including the gestation periods and things like that in humans. So we're going to go into a lot of data here. So I'm going to tell you stuff that you're not going to see on any other platform as far as I've seen so far, or news channel in any article, because I'm going to piece it all together for you, my friends. So buckle up, and here we go. I'm going to share an article here, my friends, so you can see just what is cooking with bird flu and how you hopefully might be able to cook this bug out. And here we are. This article here says that the FDA doesn't know the full effects of pasteurization on the virus. The process typically kills germs and other viruses. And FDA officials noted that they're waiting on results from experiments that will determine whether the milk samples contain active viruses. Now, this comes from the FDA. Now, we have other news agencies, such as ABC News, that, well, they only found inactive particles. Well, that's only part of the truth, because they're still looking to see if there might be active particles. That's why I don't, so I'm not even going to show you that lamestream news media article, my friends. I'm going to show you some facts here, though, what we know and what we don't know. By the way, this comes from a industry source here, Wide Open Country. And they're talking about, is it safe to have this milk? But let's go on. They don't know. So some scientists have expressed concerns that the U.S. officials are not being transparent or clear enough about the outbreaks of bird flu. And then we're getting this from Marianne Koopmans, who's she's overseas, and let's see, she's with, I don't know, I think it's over in the Netherlands, Rotterdam, yeah, the Emrys Medical Center in Rotterdam. She's not getting the information, and only a few genetic sequences from the outbreak have been uploaded to international databases, for example. And according to Michael Osterholm, director of the University of Minnesota's Center for Infectious Disease and Research Policy, he says the perception that something is happening or not happening that would not meet with the public's approval. So if the public really knew, they might not be fond of what's coming out. Now, this chart here shows you the cumulative cases of bird flu in humans from the first detections back in 2004 all the way up to this data is just going up to 2007. Let's see, 2007, excuse me. So this is dated some time back, but you can see the people that passed away are on this line, and the total cases are on this line. So this little gap between them is the survivors. Why is this not more comprehensive? Why does this data end so many years ago? I don't know, my friends. There is other charts that show, but this is a sample to give you an idea. It looks like it was improving. I hear today it's 50% survival. That's not what this chart represents. So that's reason to be concerned about this virus. Now, and this is in Wikipedia, of all places. You think they would post a better chart than that here in Wikipedia, but oh well, whatever. But they recommend here that while cooking poultry to 70 degrees, they claim kills the H5N1 virus. Do they really know? It is recommended to cook the meat to 74 degrees C, or 165 degrees, supposedly to kill all foodborne pathogens. But what you find is the pasteurization process itself, the high temp, short-term pasteurization. There's other temps like ultra high temp, which that might be better, and low temperature holding, which keeps it in for 30 minutes down here. But for the high temp short time, they cook it to pasteurize at 71.7 degrees C for 15 seconds. Now, when you're cooking, maybe that's another reason to cook it a little bit higher, is so that you got a better chance of wiping out the viruses because time is part of it. It's time at temperature. It's the total impulse of temperature. And impulse is a measurement of a vector of the amount over time. It's the area under the curve between time and the height of it. So it's an integration, if you know calculus. So it's total impulse. It's what burns things, and it matters a lot in engineering and the science world. So it would be the integration of the area under the curve of time and temperature. So 71.7 degrees C for 15 seconds. So how that is what pasteurization does. But is that enough when it might take 74 degrees? And even again, what we see is the FDA is not sure yet from the article I showed you earlier. They really don't know. So some of the stuff is still things we're learning about. Now, from cheese is cooked a little bit more because you also have to dry out the kernels, and there's different processes for this for different cheese. Now, this is one of your lower temperature cheese processes, making the soft curd cheese from powdered milk. Now, powdered milk should be safe anyway, so maybe you can cook it lower temperature because it's already been dried out, dehydrated. So powdered milk should be safe, but it should be. Here they say heat the milk on low over medium-low heat until it reaches 120 degrees F. As far as short, that's almost half the temperature it requires for boiling, for example, 210. So this is some cheeses are made, straight from milk, not powdered milk like this, and they still have lower temperatures. So cheese may be safer because it does have a longer time under the curve of heat and temperature, but the temperatures may be less high to dry out the curds than they were with pasteurization process itself. The other thing is that cheeses are maybe the virus won't last as long in cheeses. A lot of cheeses are kept on the shelf for a long time, but they're also refrigerated and kept cool, which can preserve the virus. Now, when it comes to boiling water, we're taught to boil water for at least a minute. Now, this is at sea level. At least a minute to kill all viruses. Boil it, 210, 100 degrees centigrade, 100 degrees centigrade. Boil the water for at least a minute. And if you get up to altitudes like where I've got my place in Arizona, especially up around Show Low above me, where the altitudes are like 6,600 feet, my area is like 5,600 feet. They recommend boiling it for at least 3 minutes for those temperatures, you see. Boil it for 3 minutes to ensure all viral pathogens are removed. The higher you are, the longer you've got to do this. Is that taken into account with the pasteurization process also? I don't know. You tell me. So guys, this, the uncertainties about our food supply is a real good reason, and it's planting season to consider True Leaf Market and Eden Brothers. They both carry long heirloom seeds. They both carry non-GMO seeds, and the heirloom seeds are what you're going to need to buy so that when you harvest your plants, you get the same thing back again. So there'll be links to this below. Check that out for the uncertainty in our food supply. This is something you want to consider. I highly recommend it. Links below in the show notes and the pin notes. All right, guys. So here's a question. Who's in charge of this animal pandemic in the United States? This is some Business Insider. Is it the CDC, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the FDA? And here it says the answer is sort of, well, maybe all of them. That decentralized responsibility could be behind a lack of widespread, clear public messaging so far. Well, to make it a little more concerning, let's check out this next article. If it'll go there. Oh, I hate it when you click a place, you got to dial where you want to dial it, and it all goes poof. Actually, I think I just erased that article. I think I killed it when I was trying to click to it. That happens sometimes. Oh, well, so much for that. What that article was basically saying is that, yeah, that's not this one. What the article is going to show you says is the following. It says that the FDA was really not monitoring this properly, that this disease has probably been among the cattle for some months. And they were slow reporting. They had the stuff in their lab, they were looking at it. The reports came on slow. Is that how we got to the point that this H5N1 particles are in 1 out of 5 samples of milk taken from store shelves? Yeah. I'm sorry I killed that article, but anyway, that's the gist of it, is that the FDA was remiss, maybe the USDA and the FDA was remiss in the reporting and monitoring activities. And as such, we have a situation where they're playing catch up, and they were a little slow to develop their reports on this stuff. And so it's all just now coming out. They've sat on some of this stuff for a month. So if you're feeling all cozy that the government's taking care of you, think again, because it's already in 1 out of 5 gallons of milk on the store shelves where consumers are buying it. Is it safe? Well, they don't know. That's the scary part. It's probably safe, but how safe is it? Or is it absolutely safe? Do we know? That is something to consider, my friends. And now here's another thing. And our government, the USDA, has been involved in this. Research on highly pathogenic strains of boid flu have been conducted by the Department of Agriculture. With who? The Chinese Communist Party. Does this sound like a bad rerun? Y'all remember hearing this kind of story about something else? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so Representative Morgan Griffin of the Republican of Pennsylvania joined a group of 20 other legislators sending a letter to the USDA complaining about this on the 12th of April. They sent it to USDA Secretary Tom Vilkus, and they're concerned. They said this could potentially generate dangerous new lab-created virus strains that threaten our national security and public health, not to mention our food supply. And this is what Representative Morgan Griffin had to say, and I quote, "I am skeptical with U.S. money going to viral research in China after the failures of the EcoHealth Alliance and the Wuhan." Yeah, maybe I need to be careful about repeating these words. These are words that get flagged on this platform. I'm just quoting from a member of Congress here. Anyway, that institute to properly document their research on a certain bug that went around. So I won't quote them directly. That's a dangerous quote. You just can't tell the truth around here anymore. Jeez. I don't know, guys. What do y'all think? This sounds like a bad rerun. Does it not? Where did the cows get this stuff? You got to wonder. Maybe they just got it from birds. In fact, it's been suggested that it's now spreading from birds to cows, from cows to cows, and even cows to birds. No kidding. Anyway, well, look who's concerned about it. Our good friends at the World Health Organization. And what they warn, it's an enormous concern. Y'all remember hearing about a certain treaty on demic pans? I'm saying that kind of twisted for obvious reasons. So, guys, what is cooking here? I don't know. But, there is, I'm not going to say, but, when your congressman said he's concerned about it, maybe we should be a little concerned. And it might play into, I don't know. You think about it. So, where's it been found? 26 dairy herds in 8 U.S. states: Idaho, Kansas, Michigan, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, and South Dakota. This is where it's found in cattle. Here we are, my friends. There's a map of it right there from the USDA. This is a government map on a government website. I hope I don't get spanked for showing government data on here. Holy smoke, this is data. This is what the government is willing to tell us right now. All right. How did the FDA find the bird flu in the milk? The FDA received results from the National Representative Commercial Milk Sampling Study. Here, 1 in 5 were found to have the particles. They tested positive for the avian flu. with a greater proportion of positive test results coming from milk around the areas around the infected herds. Oh, wait a minute. 1 in 5 is the normal. A greater proportion of positive results coming from milk in the area with infected herds. So if you're in these pink or red states here, the chances that it's in your milk is even greater. Or if your state is getting milk from those locations, because you don't have big, ginormous dairy herds. Fortunately, we don't see it in Wisconsin or Vermont. So maybe the cheese is a little safer yet so far. Maybe I'll stock up on cheese, my prepper friends, because cheese lasts a long time. And if you get it now, it might be good and safer than what might be coming out later. So that might be a good recommendation. Stock up on cheese. There's also concerns about egg producers with all these chickens tested positive. Also in Texas, Michigan, Ohio, where there it says officials have taken out millions of birds. Let's hope they don't do that to cattle. When we end this, we're going to talk a little bit just about some of the effects that's been noticed so far and reasons we may not have to be as concerned. Surgeon General sounding alarm about the current situation, says it feels like a former Surgeon General, excuse me, this is Surgeon General under Trump, feels like 2020 all over again. Did I say it sounds like a rerun? Oh yeah, the bug getting started. What happened in 2020? But prior to that, when the T-Man wanted to shut down people coming from the Dragon Country, remember that? And he was accused of being racist over that, and he was just trying to contain. They were shutting themselves down, yet they were sending people over here like crazy. Well, they were locking their cities down like crazy. I mean, if a country's locking their cities down, you might be concerned they got something bad over there. Yet you're just going to say, it's okay, all of them can come over here, though. And if you say not, then you get names and adjectives and stuff thrown at you, right? Anyway, this is from Dr. Jerome Adams. And he said, one way or another, the virus will soon cause serious problems. So here's what he said. This is a direct quote from him. If it keeps spreading in animals, then it is eventually going to cause problems in humans, either because we don't have enough food because they're starting to exterminate flocks, or because it starts to make a jump to humans. So the first case is food, and we know they've already exterminated animals. Are they going to start doing this also to cattle, maybe beef cattle, dairy cattle? It might be a good time to stock up on beef, long-lasting dairy products like cheese. I don't know, my friends. Eggs last a long time too, by the way. I do highly encourage you cook your eggs so they're no longer runny in the middle, which I hate that because that's my favorite way to cook eggs. Runny, over easy. That's my favorite egg. Anyway, here's what you got to know. This is from Science Daily. This is an article, not a scientific paper. Highly pathogenic bird flu can survive for months on steel or glass at cooler temperatures. Months. Now, if we go back to the Wikipedia article, I think it goes through what it can survive on other surfaces. Let's see if that covers that. I forget. It's somewhere. Yeah. It can survive over 30 days at 32 degrees F. 6 days at body temperature, basically, in the human body. Decades in permanently frozen lakes. Wow. On non-porous surfaces such as plastic, like you get with your bottles of milk, stainless steel, one thing that I served in, 24 to 48 hours. On clothes, paper, and tissues, 8 to 12 hours. So it needs a body for a certain period of time. All right. Now, what they look at here is monitoring people for 10 days after the last exposure. So maybe you can shed it, whether you're actively showing symptoms or not, kind of like another bug that we had going around, like I caught it from somebody that thought they were well, but they were still in that 10-day window on that cough bug that went around a couple of years ago. Yeah, all righty. The maximum, now this is a scientific paper from the National Library of Medicine. That's what this comes from. Well, this is the people that was involved in the study cited here. Mix of Americans and Chinese scientists. The incubation period was defined as the time of exposure to symptom onset. Also, so early on, you may not have a symptom, yet you might be capable of spreading it, just like that other bug. The maximum time from first exposure to illness onset was limited to 14 days. That means it could go out to 14 days. Could go out to 14 days. See, that's where diseases can become really bad. If you got a disease out there that could be 50% fatal, and it's got a long incubation period, it could spread very far and fast. Now, diseases with that high fatality rate, if the average time between the time you get it and the time you become infected is, or the time you become infected, the time you show symptoms is short, there's a good chance that the disease won't spread as fast because it's going to be noticed and taking people out quicker. So it's these long incubation periods you got to worry about more. That's why I'm showing this data in here. And so if you look here, this is some of the days data. The overall medium incubation period is 4.5 days. So it runs from here 2 to 9.5, but the median is 4.5. Minimum a day. And we might hope it'd be more on the lower end of the spectrum. So, and here's another thing to look at. I did a video talking about the Boyd flu back a year ago. In this video, I've got a lot of the data I'm showing, but I'm also talking about, I say, watch out. Well, why not keep your chickens? You know, a lot of people were, a lot of commercial herds were being eliminated. And I talked about certain safety protocols and things you should do there. The link to this video will be posted at the end of this video here, and it will be in the pinned notes and show notes too. So let's stop and share for a minute and just talk about this a minute. So what we know and what we don't know. What we know is typically this flu in humans has had a very high fatality rate. What we also know that in cattle, at least so far, none of the cattle are reported to have died from it. None, zero, nada. Now they claim that the milk supply is safe for 2 reasons. The claims are, 1, because of the pasteurization process, and 2, they claim because they're isolating milk from sick cows and they're not putting that out. Yet, how is it they come up with 1 out of 5 samples having the milk, the viral particles in the milk? So that argument is baseless. Oh, we're isolating the sick cows, so we're not getting it in the milk supply. Well, you're still getting in 1 out of 5 samples taken off the store shelf. That may also speak to this idea that by the time the cow's sick, it might have been producing milk for a while. So that's not really a good control. It beats nothing. I mean, in the world of safety, if you have a hazard, you look at the root causes and you come up with controls to try to eliminate those causes. I know I've been working in the safety world for rocket system avionics for 20 years. I know hazards. I know how to deal with root causes and controls. And some controls are effective and some are much less so. If you're waiting to identify that cow once it's sick and isolated, what has passed before then? That's the question. So it's a control, but it's a weak control. The pasteurization process is probably a much better control because it's right close to what takes the virus out. But what they don't know is how effective it is overall. So it means that most people drinking milk since this has probably been in the food supply already for months. And there's no reports of people getting it from milk yet. The milk is probably safe for the most part. The cheese is probably safe for the most part, maybe better than milk. But it only takes a few bugs getting through. You know, theoretically, one bug, one live virus can infect you and cause you to be sick as you could possibly be from that virus, to include pushing daisies. But that said, typically it's viral overload that gets you. You get exposed to a lot of it. Your immune system can't react You may not have antibodies to it. Now, here's the other good news. It could be that if viral particles are in the milk, it's actually inoculating you in a sense already. Maybe your body is already producing antibodies. Maybe it's a good thing to drink milk. I don't know. I can't say. I'm not a doctor. And the fact of the matter is, this is unknown territory. There's more here that we don't know than there is that we know. Now, a lot of channels come on here and a lot of people yapping heads tell you, I know it's this, I know that, here it's this, and here it's that. Guys, don't listen to people like that, because in the real world, things aren't that black and white. Most things happen along a bell curve of probability. That's how events occur. That's how these things are typically measured. And sometimes the little signals, like 6 sigmas out, if you know statistics, they're not very probable, but sometimes the consequences are catastrophic and things can occur down there. So here's what you need to know. If people do get the virus through this, then it's more people that can be exposed to it that are outside direct exposure to animals. And should that virus get in a person and mutate, the chance for human-to-human transmission then increases. So until we know more about the real safety of what the FDA is going to determine and how long it's going to take them to do this, we don't know. The FDA, the USDA, is going to take them months more, like it did to come out with these announcements, as it's been suggested, unfortunately, by the article that I closed. How long is it going to take? What are we going to know? There's uncertainty. There are things that we don't know. This is a known unknown. There are known knowns, known unknowns, and what gets you is the unknown unknowns. Those we can't even talk about because we don't know them to talk about them. And a lot of YouTubers, they like to be, moms, I've got all the answers. This is a fact, that's a fact. Don't listen to those people. Don't even listen to them, because they're just yapping heads. I'm an engineer. I'm putting it to you as it is. The fact of the matter is, there's risk out there. There's things to be concerned about. There is as yet no evidence that a human has got it from milk. We do know one human caught this bug from a cow, and that one human just had a red eye. That's it, conjunctivitis. It's treated and is well. No non-cows have passed away yet. So is it going to have the same effect in people that's having in cattle? We don't know. Could it mutate and get worse? Most viruses mutate toward getting not as bad over time, but it could be that we get it from some other source. As Dr. Martin Rees has taught us with his book, which is named and is published in America, Our Final Hour, over 20 years ago, which I've cited many times. There's the prospects of things getting away from labs. As I covered in that other bird flu video I showed you guys back a year ago, there are labs that have, just for the fun of it, generated human transmissible bird flu. It could get loose from any of these sources, and that could be a bad variant. There's just a lot we don't know yet. Let's hope it don't. Let's hope that this thing is mutated to the point that it's not going to be as bad. Maybe red eye, pink eye. I don't know. We don't know. So is it safe? Absolutely. We cannot say. Is it generally safe? It seems to be right now. Is there a prospect, as the former health advisor, Surgeon General, as a former Surgeon General under Trump indicated, is it going to eventually jump to people? Well, there's a good chance, because it's spreading more and more and more species. How effective, what will be the fatality rate of that version? We don't know. We do not know. Could it evolve into something worse? Possibly. Could it evolve into something milder? Maybe. And over time, that would be more likely. Well, how would it start out initially? We don't know that either. Could we get it from a lab leak? If that happens, it could be worse. And it could be just people drinking milk or basically developing immunity to it. That's a possibility. I'm going to keep eating cheese for a while until I start seeing people pushing daisies from drinking milk. Then I'll think twice about it. There's no medical advice in this video anywhere. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical expert. I am an engineer looking at numbers and telling you the fact is we don't know. So somebody tells you, well, there's like a certain article I saw out there, that there's nothing to worry about. It's not entirely true. not entirely. It may be for the most part, but down the road, this could get bad. It could get ugly. And it's also possible that those that like to control things will take advantage of this to take more control. Is that a possibility? Is that something to be worried about? You think about it. My proposition here is to make you aware of it, so your eyes are wide open and your head is on the swivel, so you can survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. Once again, subscribe to my channel, and the link to that video is right here. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, give me a thumbs up if you like it. Share my videos widely. This platform don't like me coming here and telling you the way things are. So help me out. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching, and Greg out.